Function with Purpose podcast. All things health, wellness, fitness, and education through the physical therapy perspective. I am Dr. Amy Bullock, owner and founder of Fortress Physical Therapy. Fortress PT is here to serve the Charlotte metro area by highlighting the importance of how and why physical therapy should be a part of your health and wellness lifestyle. Here we go. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 3 of the Function with Purpose podcast. Don't skip your warm-up, people. Yeah, that's the topic. Hey, Dr. Amy here. So, I wanted to share a little bit of a personal story of mine about the importance of a warm-up routine, especially when you have some traveling to do and you don't really have access to all of the equipment, or for me, kettlebells, not all of the kettlebells, but the warm-up is where the money is at, okay? You know that, or should know, the warm-up is probably the most important aspect of any physical therapy regimen, of any exercise routine or training aspect, because I am a firm believer, I 100% agree that warm-ups are going to set the tone for what is upcoming into the exercise regimen for that day. So, a little bit of story, a little bit of hindsight. So, I went to Disney back in December, and I was gone for a week, and I was very lucky and smart that we drove down there. So I went with my best friends here in Charlotte area, and we drove down. Well, I'm like, okay, I'm packing 2 kettlebells. I got a 35-pound and a 25-pound, and I'm also packing my resistance bands and my jump rope. So, because I know from past experience that the fitness centers that are within these hotels typically have very minimal equipment and a crap ton of treadmills and recumbent bikes, etc. So, you know, when you travel, it's hard to keep the routine going. So my intention for this specific trip was making my warm-ups a little bit longer than usual and increasing my heart rate, getting my overall body temperature up, performing my workout super early in the morning that I'm not used to, sometimes at 5 a.m. or 5:30, and knocking it out because it sets the tone for the day for me. I know that getting my workout routine in at the beginning of my day will make me feel better the rest of the day. So, needless to say, my training for that day, training in general usually probably lasts around 75 to 90 minutes a day. And I knew that on vacation that wasn't going to happen. So I had to make everything a little bit more concise based on what was scheduled for that day. So my intention was, you know what, I'm going to make my warm-up routines, instead of 3 sets of a desired warm-up regimen, I'm going to do 4 to 5. 4 probably would be a pretty good sweet spot. So here's an example of like what I did. So at one of the hotels, there were some dumbbells there, and you know, they ranged from like 5 pounds up to maybe 50. That was it. So of course there were a lot of treadmills, and this is kind of like what I based out my warm-up routine. I had to tweak it a little bit. So I wanted to get some type of global movement, complex movements in, and almost create a little mini workout within the warm-up. So an example that I did was 60 seconds of a treadmill jog, immediately into 10 dumbbell pullovers, focusing on good control, into 8 low switch Cossack squats, 4 on the right, 4 on the left, into 6 alternating dumbbell devil press, and then I rest for about 30-45 seconds. So I would do about 4 to 5 sets of that. And I felt so much better after. So incorporating more complex multi-joint movements. So the double press is a multi-joint movement. And then obviously getting into the treadmill jog, that is a multi-joint movement. So then once I kind of, of course the first 2 sets are like blah, I feel so stiff. It's 5 a.m. What am I doing here? And then by the time I finished my 4th or 5th set, I felt good. I'm like, okay, now I'm going to do some like strength supersets after this. Because I only have 30 more minutes, and then it was ready to rock and roll for our Disney schedule for that day. Like, I got to shower, I got to get ready. So I think my thought process and what I felt on those results were, making my warm-up a little bit more intentional and longer, which then prevented me from feeling the desired results that I wanted to. I knew in Disney, obviously, we were probably averaging about 20,000 steps a day. You're already tired from that, but I needed to get some type of resistance training in, a little bit of kind of interval training, where I would jack my heart rate up a little bit and then bring it back down. Jack it up, bring it back down. So after my little bit more extended warm-up, then I would do some supersets, or what they call giant sets. I know that the first hotel we stayed in, they had like a lat pull-down machine. So I did that, and, some type of dumbbell good morning or hinging motion or whatever, or a Jefferson curl. So I would just kind of bang out those sets back to back, and maybe a 60-second rest between those 2 movements, and just go for max reps on how I felt. And then I kind of set the tone for the day. So I think the moral of not skipping your warm-up is that you really prep your nervous system, and you wake up your body and muscles, right, in target areas that you perhaps want to get into some strength training later on, which then in turn you feel the benefits of that later on, especially from a vacation, right? Because when we're on vacation, we don't want to do anything. We want to relax. But for me, yes, I still want to do that. However, I still make the room of getting some type of resistance training in, or some type of fitness, because it's part of my routine. It's part of my habits. It makes me feel good. I feel better. It sets the tone for the day. And, our environment, right? I'm not familiar with the environment when we're traveling. So our environment dictates our actions, right? So when you're not familiar with your surroundings, and you want to try to get some solid, maybe recovery session in, or training or exercise in, then I think one of the main things that we need to be looking at is having a pretty awesome, solid, like warm-up routine. And so that you can feel the progress and feel purposeful when you're on vacation. It's okay to exercise and move and get some resistance training when you're on vacation. It's okay. And then giving yourself some grace that, okay, I did, I want to try to not, for those 7 days that I was at Disney, I worked out 5 of those. I got some type of resistance training in 5 out of the 7 days. That was huge for me. That was major huge. And then on top of that, every day we averaged about 20,000 steps a day. So that's a lot of movement. So in a nutshell, don't skip your warm-up, because the warm-up is actually the minimal effective dose to keep your body moving. Make a warm-up routine purposeful, especially when you're traveling. You have minimal access to equipment. You can make bodyweight movements as hard as you can and still feel purpose. You can incorporate some of your physiotherapy, targeted isolation movements, or maybe some exercises, right? And still feel the progress. So don't skip your warm-up, especially when you're traveling and when you're not traveling. But in this case, when you're traveling, extend your warm-up a little bit longer. Try to make them multi-joint related. Incorporate some type of cardio. Have a little set rest period. And then at the end, perhaps maybe get into some strength supersets, whatever you have left, whatever a lot of time you have left. Resistance training is important too. That's a wrap for today's episode, Function with Purpose podcast. For more information on this episode, please check out the show notes within your podcast app. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, or drop your comments and questions below. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Thanks for the listen. Pursuit, precision, purpose.